A heartfelt morning turns somber as Almut navigates her first chemotherapy session and a shocking revelation about her health. Amid uncertainty, she refuses to back down, proving her resilience in the face of adversity. In the morning, Almut sets out for her jog, collecting fresh leaves and herbs along the way. Back home, she gathers eggs from her chicken coop and prepares breakfast, later seeking her husband Tobias's opinion on the dish. Years earlier, Tobias had woken one night to find Almut experiencing early pregnancy symptoms, prompting him to jot down her condition in his notebook. In the present, Almut thrives as a chef in her restaurant, but sudden pain interrupts her work. A doctor confirms she needs chemotherapy to shrink an inoperable tumor before surgery, followed by additional treatment to prevent recurrence. The doctor suggests pausing her career, leaving Tobias concerned about how this will affect her. Almut surprises him by proposing they adopt a dog to help their daughter cope. When Tobias questions the idea, Almut admits she's scared of chemo again and values the quality of her remaining time over its length. Almut receives a message from an old friend about a cooking competition. A flashback briefly shows a younger Tobias, sharply dressed, chatting with his father about breakfast. During a job interview, Tobias confidently introduced himself as a master data manager from Wabix, eager to grow within the company. Later, back in his hotel room, he discovered his pen had leaked, ruining his shirt. Hours later, he sat with the divorce papers from his ex-wife Helen but couldn't sign them. His pen was broken and the room's replacement didn't work. Finally, in his hotel robe, he went to a supermarket to buy pens. On the way back, he was hit by a car. When Tobias regained consciousness, a woman stood before him, explaining there were no available beds. Confused, he asked about his missing underwear and she jokingly referenced the cookies he had with him. He didn't laugh, prompting her to introduce herself as Almut. Tobias didn't recognize her and she admitted she was the one who hit him. Despite her apologies, Tobias reassured her it was fine. Later, they decided to get to know each other and visited an old diner. Tobias mentioned working for Wabix, which Almut initially mistook for the cereal brand, though he clarified his company owned it. She shared her plans to open a modern European restaurant in a few weeks, inviting him to visit and suggesting he bring his wife, having noticed his wedding ring. In the present, Tobias and Almut take their daughter out to eat to share important news. They gently explain that Almut has a stomach problem, but their talk is interrupted by an overly enthusiastic waiter trying to entertain their daughter. Frustrated, Tobias asks the waiter to leave, raising his voice. Later, Tobias plays with their daughter while Almut watches with a mix of longing and love. At bedtime, Almut chases her family playfully before tucking their daughter in with a bedtime story. Alone with Tobias, she praises him for handling everything so well. He admits he's relieved they abandoned the idea of getting a puppy. In their bedroom, Almut suggests they share an intimate moment before her treatment begins. Afterward, she mentions considering Simon's offer to audition for a culinary competition, but Tobias reassures her there will be time for that later. The couple prepared for Almut's delivery, with Tobias catering to her every craving while she endured increasing pain during exercises. When the doctor recommended heading to the hospital, their car was blocked, but Tobias made space by pushing other cars aside. At the hospital, they learned Almut was only 2 cm dilated and were sent home to wait. In the present, Almut asks her chef about the Bosu d'Or competition, often called the Olympics of cooking, despite lacking a big prize. She reveals her plan to compete for Great Britain and invites him to join her team. Though surprised, he eagerly agrees despite the demanding training ahead. Flashing back, Tobias prepared for Almut's restaurant opening, dressing sharply. At the venue, a hostess initially stopped him but welcomed him after recognizing him from an earlier incident. Tobias enjoyed the appetizers and praised the food to Almut, who asked about his wife. He clarified they were still legally married but separated, which brought a small smile to Almut. The evening ended with laughter and bonding. As the night progressed, Tobias and Almut became intimate, but Tobias hesitated, admitting he hadn't brought protection. Almut reassured him, revealing she was prepared. The next morning, Tobias woke early, quietly gathering his things. When Almut caught him, he explained he had to leave. She questioned his rush, and Tobias suggested they spend the day together since neither had urgent plans. They spent the day strolling through the park and shopping, their bond growing naturally. Back at her apartment, Tobias shared how his marriage had fallen apart, worsened by his ex-wife moving to Sweden. Almut opened up about her struggles with past relationships before lightening the mood by promising him the best scrambled eggs he'd ever had. Her tips on cracking eggs amused Tobias, and their laughter led to another intimate moment on the carpet. That evening, their goodbye lingered at her apartment door. One night after a party, Tobias told Almut she had a natural gift for connecting with children, despite her lack of focus on them. When she seemed puzzled, he admitted he wanted honest conversations now to avoid regret later. Overwhelmed, he confessed he might be falling for her. Stunned, Almut revealed she didn't believe in promises of love shaping the future, and, with quiet resolve, suggested they part ways. In the present, Almut returns home to find a romantic trail of candles leading to Tobias. After checking on their sleeping daughter, Tobias revisits the bitter conversation they had on the day of her diagnosis. Apologizing for his fear-driven reaction, he struggles to voice his emotions and hands her a notebook with his heartfelt message. Moved by his vulnerability, Almut reads the words, tears filling her eyes, and urges him not to waste any more time. Tobias kneels, presenting a ring to reaffirm his commitment, strengthening their bond. Still heartbroken by Almut's earlier rejection, Tobias found a way to see her again. Disguised as a pizza delivery, he slipped into her apartment only to interrupt a baby shower. Recognized by one of her co-workers, Tobias felt awkward but apologized. He explained that seeing her restaurant had clarified his feelings, admitting his hurt over her rejection and apologizing for chasing an idealized future instead of appreciating her as she was. Tobias and Almut spend the morning in their garden, cutting her hair and saving the locks in a keepsake box. Tobias admires her beauty as they share this heartfelt moment with their daughter. Later, they visit a museum as a potential wedding venue but leave upon learning drones aren't allowed. That same day, Tobias accompanies Almut to her first chemotherapy session, where the sterile environment feels intimidating. Despite this, Almut faces it with quiet determination, confronting the uncertainty ahead. Afterward, Almut and Jade meet Simon to discuss an upcoming competition. Simon compliments Almut's new haircut, but the moment shifts when Jade notices her nosebleed. Almut hurries to the bathroom, realizing the bleeding is worse than expected. Feeling nauseous, she removes her uniform for relief. When Jade nervously checks on her, Almut reveals she has stage 3 ovarian cancer, leaving Jade stunned. Despite Jade's suggestion to postpone the competition, Almut insists she's ready. Exhausted, Almut returns home later that evening. After reading Simon's message confirming the competition date, she checks on her sleeping daughter and joins Tobias, who is reviewing wedding invitations. Noticing her fatigue, Tobias grows concerned, but Almut brushes it off as simple tiredness. During Almut's pregnancy, Tobias supported her with small but thoughtful gestures, like helping her bathe and managing her cravings. Earlier, Tobias and his father Reginald attended one of Almut's family gatherings. Though awkward at first, the night grew warm with laughter and stories, with Reginald sharing how he never needed a formal ceremony to feel committed to his wife. That evening, Almut grew uneasy when her family played a video of her figure skating competition. She later confided to Tobias that her father had been her biggest supporter, but his illness forced her to quit skating. After his death, returning to the ice became too painful. Almut experienced sharp abdominal pain, prompting Tobias to rush her to the hospital. The doctor suspected an infection, ordered tests, and prescribed painkillers while awaiting results. While jogging in the park, Almut received a call from the hospital. She informed Tobias that the tests found no infection but confirmed early-stage cancer. The doctors recommended a hysterectomy, a life-saving procedure that might leave them unable to have children. Almut, however, hoped to preserve one ovary, clinging to the slim chance of becoming a mother. Later, Almut was declared in remission. They celebrated at home and enjoyed a rare moment of joy at the fair. Filled with hope, they began trying for a child. Despite a slow and discouraging process, they finally received the joyful news that they were expecting. In the present, as Almut went into labor, the couple got stuck in traffic on their way to the hospital. Growing desperate, Tobias jumped out to investigate the delay. When he returned, he was alarmed to find the car empty. After a brief frantic search, he discovered Almut calmly leaning against a gas station pillar, managing her contractions. She had decided to satisfy a craving and gone into the store for something to eat. From inside, Almut called out that she wasn't feeling well. What she thought was a quick bathroom break now felt like it was time to push. Panicking, Tobias tried to unlock the door, but the attendant accidentally broke the key in the lock. Desperate, Tobias, two attendants, and a bystander worked together to kick the door down. When it finally opened, they found Almut pale and struggling, apologizing as she said she couldn't wait, her baby was coming. Tobias called their doctor while Almut, unfazed by the situation, stripped off her clothes and prepared to deliver. Following the doctor's instructions over the phone, Tobias and the bystander helped her through the birth. Despite his panic, Tobias managed to deliver their baby, and moments later their daughter's cries filled the room, bringing relief and joy. Tobias kept his family warm until the ambulance arrived, thanking the employees for their help before leaving. In the car, he embraced Almut and their newborn, treasuring their first moments as a family. In the present, the couple faces darker days. At the doctor's office, they learn the tumor has metastasized, ruling out surgery. The doctors encourage them to stay hopeful and discuss treatment options, but the gravity of the situation is overwhelming. Tobias offers support, though Almut insists she's fine. The doctor gently reminds her it's okay not to be. A tray of small treats lightens the mood, prompting faint smiles. Later, Tobias mentions a meeting and asks Almut to pick up their daughter. She agrees without hesitation, determined to keep moving forward despite the challenges. During an intense training session for the competition, Almut feels overwhelmed but refuses to take a break despite Jade's suggestion. Stepping out to the parking lot, she succumbs to the physical toll of chemotherapy, visibly drained. Meanwhile, her daughter Ella waits in the rain with her teacher, forgotten as Almut pushes herself to the limit. When she finally returns home momentarily relieved, Tobias confronts her about missing Ella's pickup and ignoring his calls. Realizing her mistake, Almut apologizes and admits she's been training for the competition Tobias had asked her to postpone. Tobias questions why Almut is prioritizing cooking over recovery. Breaking down, she admits she knows her survival chances are slim, but wants Ella to remember her as strong, not defined by illness. Almut cools, and Tobias acknowledges her ambitions, but warns they can't cherish her memory if she shuts them out. Almut admits her mistakes and reveals the competition date conflicts with their wedding day. Devastated, Tobias silently throws away the invitations. Later, a morning run past a skating rink stirs Almut's memories. Inspired, she visits Jade, who greets her with a matching haircut in solidarity. On competition day, Jade's nerves overwhelm him, but the cheering crowd, including Almut's family, lifts her spirits. For 5.5 hours, she and Jade work tirelessly, plating their finest dishes, as the final 30 seconds tick down. Almut, nervous but determined, completes the competition with Jade just in time. The room erupts in excitement and their joy is infectious. Tobias beams with pride as Almut finally feels she's accomplished something truly meaningful. She removes her chef's hat, hugs Jade, and joins her family in the audience to cherish the moment. Later, the family visits the skating ring Almut had passed earlier. The evening is magical, filled with laughter and bittersweet joy. Almut treasures the time with Tobias and Ella, bidding them a heartfelt goodbye and leaving behind a legacy of love and strength. In the end, the inevitable comes to pass. Almut is gone. Tobias and Ella adopt a dog, finding comfort in small routines as they move forward. In the kitchen, Tobias teaches Ella to crack eggs on a flat surface, just like her mother used to do, keeping Almut's spirit alive in their everyday lives. Thank you for watching. Like and subscribe for more contents like this.